did. So, so I'm not sure what the result of technical issues, but we're people or so thank you for taking your time. Mr. Sullivan, you may continue.
All right. Now, you explained to us yesterday that you were familiar with Howard Stern's program.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you had appeared on his program between 5 and 10 times, correct?
I wouldn't say 10, but between 5 and 10, yes, sir. That may have been, that's way too much. 5 and 10,
I think that's...
it's been hard to get on this show because of the schedule, so I'd say between 5 and 10, but I wouldn't go as far as say I've been there 10 times. That doesn't sound right to me. 5 to 10.
Okay. If you would look, please, at volume 4, page 458.
Yes, sir. 458.
Yes, sir. Okay. And if you would look, sir, a question starting on line 8 on that page. There you go.
Yeah.
You see that? So somewhere in the range, you said there 4 or 5, not more than 10, right?
Yeah, that's different than what you said before, but I said 4 or 5, not more than 10. I didn't say 5 to 10, so you had me thinking literally about the number 10. It didn't work for me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just I didn't understand that you didn't understand this.
Gotcha. And as you told us yesterday, when you go on Howard Stern's show,
yes, sir,
you expect discussion, questions about sexual matters. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. You have to take the good with the bad.
Okay. And when you were appearing and discussing these matters with Howard Stern, and he was talking about the sex tape, we saw some of that yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I take it that you didn't say, like, whoa, I don't want to discuss this. You never said that to him, did you? To Mr. Stern?
I dropped my head in my hands. It was just embarrassing, humiliating just to hear it, but I didn't say it. I mean, I was on an entertainment show and I had to be an entertainer, so I just kept going.
Okay.
I didn't say it, no, sir.
I take it that at no point in the discussion with Mr. Stern did you say, well, this is not a legitimate topic to discuss publicly. You never said that, did you?
No, on an entertainment show, I never said that.
Okay. You never said to Mr. Stern on this entertainment show, no, this is not a legitimate topic, a commentary, right?
No, sir, you have to take the good with the bad, as I said.
Okay. And when Mr. Stern was making characterizations of the tape and what folks would see on the tape, you didn't object to those characterizations, did you?
No, sir. That's his show, he's in control, and if he wants to talk about characters or characterizations, you just have to follow his lead because that's how his show works.
Okay. And at no point, I take it, did you tell Howard Stern that, look, this was a private moment between me and Heather, and you would prefer that he respect your privacy? You didn't say that, right?
No, sir. I didn't want to bring Terry Bollea, the man, and separate the man from the character and bring that into the conversation. No, sir. I did not say that. Did not want to do that.
All right. At one point, Howard Stern says something to you like, this is going to be the biggest TNA Impact Wrestling event with you in the news like this. Do you remember him saying something like that to you?
I don't recall, but he probably would have said something like that that sounds like something he would say to help promote the show.
Okay. I understand what you're telling me about you're sitting there in the moment and Howard's making his, he's talking and saying this and you're talking with him and you don't say, Howard, I feel uncomfortable, this is a private matter. You don't say that to him on air.
No, I don't.
Okay. But before you go on air with Howard Stern, you come to the studio, you're ready to do this appearance.
Yes, sir.
I take it you didn't go to Howard before and say, listen, I'm here to talk about the TNA Bound for Glory matter. I'm not here to address the sex tape. You didn't do that, did you?
No, I didn't, but that always happens. My publicist does go to whoever we're talking about, especially in a situation like this, and you have to try to say, Howard Stern, can we just talk about wrestling? And please don't talk about anything else personal. And sometimes there's a compromise where if it's not Howard Stern, it's somebody else, and you say, please don't talk about my personal life, they have to kind of like touch on it and move on, but that's what I said, you have to take the good with the bad, but that would not have been my job to do that. My publicist would go to Howard or Howard or whoever it was, and that's a conversation, the standard protocol. You always have that conversation, the publicist does, but I would never have that conversation.
Now, are you telling us that in this instance, you went and had your publicist take Howard's people aside and say, look, Mr. Hogan is not going to talk about the sex tape matter? That didn't happen, did it?
I did not in this instant do that. That's standard protocol. Whenever you walk in, you try to stay on this subject that you're talking about.
Do you know for a fact, as you sit here today, that your publicist went to Howard and said, this sex tape business is not going to be discussed?
I was not privy to that conversation.
So you don't know?
No, I don't know what was said in that conversation. I was just telling you what usually happens.
Yeah, and what you know
And I wouldn't
is,
have that usually happening conversation.
all right, and what you know is that you, Terry Bollea
Yes, sir.
/ Hulk Hogan, did not have such a conversation with Howard Stern
No, I did
yourself.
not. No, sir.
All right. And at no point, I take it, during a break in the program or when there's, at no point did you say that after the interview or the appearance started. You didn't say that, did you?
I don't recall there being any breaks in Howard's show. And after the interview, we usually are often running to the next one that we're kind of usually late for, but it's a tight schedule. So after Howard's interview, they usually take a picture with you in the lobby with all the staff, and they got like a wall, what do you call it? Wall of greatness or a wall of shame or whatever he calls it. And you get your picture put up there every time. So it's usually a quick stop in the hallway when you're done, and you take off the index of point, but there's no talking business. Once you're done, you're out of there.
Okay. Now, if we could look at clip, I think it's D302B. All right. If we could take a moment and look at that, and then I'll ask you some questions.
What's going on? Wow. You can see Hulk Hogan.
I can take a brush.
Is this going to be the biggest TNA Impact wrestling event ever with you in the news like this?
It's not time for it to be called TNA.
And do you okay, right? Oh, God, stop. Do you think you're going to put this into the storyline? Are the other bad wrestlers going to be like fucking with you going, hey, Mr. Big Shot, Big Cock, blah, 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 not cock, but they're going to, do you think they're going to work it into the storyline?
Maybe instead of dropping the leg on people's neck, I'll start dropping something else.
Drop those loads. That's right.
Drop the tripod.
Good Lord.
He made a laugh.
Oh, it was laugh. I wish somebody made me.
Now, Robin's right. I've been fighting that TNA, which is total nonstop action, and every time I bring up TNA, it's like tits and ass.
Right.
I've been fighting that for 2.5 years since I worked there, and we changed it to Impact Wrestling, but they still refer to it as TNA.
You are fighting on every fucking level.
God,
it's unbelievable. Let me plug this.
Well, maybe now we should call it
Tits and ass. Yeah.
I mean, hey, yo, I'm the general manager.
You're the king of that.
You got me a lot of time.
You are the man.
Okay. Mr. Bland, let me ask you this. That discussion that was just had between Howard Stern and you,
Yes, sir.
in the context of Howard Stern, was that, in your view, a legitimate topic of commentary in that context?
In that context, I was trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Howard was making me laugh, and we were talking about total nonstop action. People think of TNA and me, when Howard said, instead of the I hate the TNA because it makes people think of tits and ass, excuse me, but I just said, well, maybe I should drop something else other than the leg if we're going to call it that. It was all a joke, and Howard says it was a joke, and so I was just going along with it.
Okay, just having fun.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He actually had me laughing for a change.
There you go. When you said the thing, you were the one that said dropping the tripod. What were you referring to?
Well, we were in the context of the interview, so as I was joking without saying it, I was joking about, my penis. That's what I was joking about.
Okay.
And I didn't say it. I just was trying to end the interview and get out of there.
Right. And in that context, with Howard Stern and the joking and the poking of fun and all that, that was a legitimate thing to put in that context, wasn't it? To make that kind of joke.
Well, as he's calling me Hulk Hogan and we're keeping it in character and laughing and joking, I just had fun with it.
Right.
It worked in context, yes.
So as you said that, you weren't thinking to yourself, well, this is highly inappropriate for me to say this, were you? You weren't thinking that.
In context,
Yes,
with what we had been talking about and him trying to dive into my personal life and separate the man from the character, it wasn't highly appropriate in context of the whole conversation with us talking about entertaining people, not in that context.
Did bother you?
No, I was way beyond that. I was bothered about the beginning more than the ending.
Well, let me ask you this. I get what you're telling me about, you go on the Howard Stern show and he raises these things, these sexual subjects, and there's the joking to be had and all of that. But at times, you volunteer topics, don't you? I mean, some of this you brought up, right?
That might have been my verbiage, but I didn't volunteer the topic of sex.
Okay, let's do this.
That was the topic we were on.
Pardon?
That was the topic we were on actually was sex and wrestling. I didn't volunteer the sex topic to start that one. He did.
Fair enough. Let's, Tim, if we could look at, I think it's clip, Your Honor, D302F. We could just take a look at that.
302.
I don't know.
Bro, I wasn't, I swear to God, I had no idea,
You didn't know you were being taped?
No, sir.
Because if you were being taped also, you wouldn't be on there talking about how, hey, I feel so fat, I just ate another meal or something like that, right? Then you would probably be a lot more.
And I'm not trying to be a really pompous ass, but, I'm going to say something right now, I'm probably going to live to regret. And this thing has totally upended my world, but in the situation I was in, I didn't want to be overly aggressive, right? Because it was my friend's girl, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, things could have been to a whole nother level. And I was trying to be cool,
What do you mean? I'm not getting this.
He was being polite, he was being gentle.
Thank you,
You
Ron.
mean you didn't want to bang her?
No,
You did
when I wrestle guys in the ring, guys that are my friends, I'm cool with guys that aren't my friends, I get really much more aggressive.
I don't understand what you're saying. How come I'm not catching on?
Well, it's because I was just trying to be...
Robin, what does Hulk Hogan mean?
He was laid back. It was just sort of like a draining the pipes as opposed to a full-on...
Affair.
Yeah, he wasn't in there doing what he really
You're
does.
saying that, in other words, your performance would have been way more intense.
Now, having that passage in mind,
Yes, sir.
okay, you volunteered that topic, didn't you?
No, I
In
didn't
other words-
volunteer.
What?
He started the verbiage, and I was talking about the topic he started.
You began that talking about the manner in which you engaged in sex with Heather by saying, quote, I'm going to say something I will probably regret. Then you said, I'm not trying to come off like a pompous ass. And then you basically told a story with this discussion with Howard and his colleague Robin about how you weren't as aggressive in this sex that is seen in that video as perhaps you would be other times or otherwise, right?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay. And you raised that. Howard didn't raise that, did he?
No, he started the topic of sex.
Right. Now, in that context, sitting there at that time,
Yes, sir.
you obviously thought that was a legitimate thing to discuss on Howard's show, right?
I didn't have a problem discussing it. You know, I was on his show, entertaining in character. We knew he was going to take the good with the bad, and I was trying to move through the interview as best I could. When you're under that type of heavy fire from someone that pushes that hard on you, you're praying that you can move on, get to the next subject, and eventually accomplish what you're there for, to talk about the show, TNA.
All right. All right. Fair enough. Let us look at the final of these clips. Tim, if you could please pull up D302S.
So let me understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Last time you were here, let's backtrack. You said to me, you looked me in the eye point blank, and you said, man code, I would never break the man code. I would never bang another guy's wife.
A buddy's wife.
A buddy's wife. Want me to play the clip?
Yeah, please.
Okay, here's the clip. Just so you know, I'm not making this up.
No.
All right, here we go. Would you ever fuck her?
No.
You would not?
No. Man law, brother.
You would honor that man.
Yeah. Even if they were divorced for 10 years.
You would never fuck
You
her.
don't
Or
want
if I
to
had your ex-wife simply because she
You wouldn't fuck my ex-wife?
No, what?
I love you, man.
No, that's man law.
I love that you understand that.
You don't do that.
Well, what happened?
That was protection mode.
You were in protection mode. That I understand.
You lied to us.
You lied to me?
Well, I had my fingers crossed, my toes were crossed. The F word
Yes.
is, I'd call it a different type of word.
But you're still friends with Bubba, right?
You're very good friends.
So Bubba, I know, can't talk about this because he has a divorce agreement.
What?
Now, Howard Stern asked you, when you made that prior appearance, he says you lied to us, right? That you lied
That's what
to
he
us.
said, yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, you weren't truthful with him before, were you?
On this show, as we're talking on a character-driven show, I did not want to talk about Terry Bollea and his personal life. What was going on with Terry Bollea? He's asking me, Hulk Hogan, you said you never did this. So I basically didn't want to stir up a hornet's nest by all of a sudden talking about the man and saying, oh yes, I did break man code. You know, there's no reason to do that.
Right. And you're telling us that you were there as Hulk Hogan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Was that another Bound for Glory tour? Because I had different clothes on. Was that the year before?
yes, that
Okay,
was
thank you.
the thing where he asked you, I will represent to you that was after you and Heather had your sexual encounters.
But I'm asking you, was that the year before that last clip? Was actually what I'm saying, was that the Bound for Glory before, when I was there before?
I can't give you that, but if you would like, I will find that out and I will give you the precise date.
Well, it doesn't really matter. When you're on his show, you know it's a character-driven show, so you
Yeah.
just roll with it.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
will
matter.
represent to you two things. That it was after you had your sexual encounters with Heather, point being that you had lied to Howard, okay? But if you want the precise date, I'll get it for you.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay. Now, you said on that occasion, he says to you like, well, you lied to us. And you said, well, I was in protection mode, right?
Yes.
What is protection mode? Does that entitle a person to basically lie? Protection mode?
Well, are we talking about the person or the character?
Well, let's start with the person.
Well, the person is sitting here today under oath, and I don't lie under oath. It's Terry Bollea. Now, as the character, we can talk about the tripod. We can talk about, like I said, I've body slammed elephants. You know, I've surfed on tiger sharks, and those are all lies. I pulled bumpers off Cadillac Jack. Those are all lies, but that's Hulk Hogan saying it, character-driven. So, to answer your question, I was there, and I didn't want to talk about Terry Bollea and my experience on the radio. It was, you know, if there were stills out there, the media was attacking us, and I was actually using this show to, you know, try to stop things from going forward. I had to talk to Howard about whatever he brought up.
All right. Let me ask you something. Does Terry, I think, I've heard Bubba on the air. Bubba talks about being in protection mode, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he calls it cover his ass mode, yes.
Pardon?
I think he calls it cover his butt mode.
Cover his ass, right?
Yes.
Okay, but in this world, cover your ass, protection mode, it's the same thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, in that mode, it is okay to be dishonest, correct?
In that mode, it's entertainment.
I see.
In that mode, you can be a character and say things like, you know, I fell off the top of the Empire State Building and I'm so powerful I got back up. In character, you know, you have the artistic liberty to, you know, go way out there.
Well, in protection mode, right?
Yes, sir.
I take it you can do whatever's necessary to protect yourself, right?
Well, yeah, especially when someone's trying to talk about your personal privacy and an invasion of your privacy as Terry Bollea, the man.
Well,
yeah, I protect that as Terry Bollea, and I protect that as Hulk Hogan, not wanting to talk about Terry Bollea.
but when you appeared on Howard Stern, when you appeared on all those other programs we saw yesterday, I don't know about you, but I didn't hear Terry Bollea mentioned once. Did you?
Did I hear Terry Bollea mention? No, I did not.
Okay. Now, if we could move forward and focus your attention back on that Bound for Glory, this media tour you were doing, you were aware, obviously, when you were doing these appearances, these public appearances, that Gawker had published a story on its website. That's a lot of what's being discussed, right?
This was before the video came out?
No, sir. This is when you're doing all these public appearances on October 9th.
So Gawker had only, what I'm asking is Gawker had only published a story at this time and the video wasn't out yet from Gawker?
No, the story is posted and it has those brief excerpts of that video with the story. October 4, 2012 is when that happens.
Okay, well, what was your question again? And that was this last video I saw. What I had the blue shirt on, you said that was a year before.
No. Again, I think you're confused on the chronology. Let me do it this way. And this is why I come back to this. I believe you were confused yesterday in your direct examination with Mr. Turkel. And you told us that Gawker posted the commentary and 4 or 5 hours later, you're doing these interviews. Remember that?
I think it was the video hit, and then 4 or 5 hours later. I can't recall it exactly, but all I know is when the news came crashing down on us that Gawker said, we've seen the video, and Bubba is on there turning the camera. That's the first time anybody has actually said, we've seen the video and told me personally, because other than that, I thought they were rumors. And I was praying there wasn't one.
Right. Mr. Bollea, we saw Mike Walters back in March of 2012 saying, I've seen part of this video.
Yes, sir.
You've known for months that the video
Yes,
was
sir. And he said part of it. He said he didn't know if there was a whole video, so I was just praying there was just a part of it and it wasn't a whole video.
And then in April, this Dirty publishes stills from the video.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I didn't have a problem with them publishing the stills.
That wasn't a problem, right?
Well, we aggressively went after them, and we sent the same cease and desist that we sent to your client, saying that if you take the videos down, we can try to live with it, so please cease and desist. But where the problem came is when Gawker put the video up, and we asked for a cease and desist, they played it for months and months and months and months, and it just made so much damage we had to live with it.
I see. Now, just so you know, I'm just trying to get the chronology straight. So, are you with me?
I'm trying to be.
Okay.
You said that last video where I had the blue shirt on, so that's what I'm trying to say. Are we talking about Bound for Glory before?
Right. Here's the deal. We've established, I believe, that Gawker posted its piece on October 4, 2012. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, go back to Defendants Exhibit 76, which was your itinerary. Remember, we looked up at the top of the thing, and it said the date was for your Bound for Glory tour, October 8 to 10, right?
Could you make it a little bigger, please? Is that 2012 or 2011?
2012.
2012, okay. I didn't see it on there anywhere.
Bound for Glory tour, October 8 to 10, okay? Now.
Okay, so it is 2012 then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool, because I'm sure the year before we started out with the same schedule too, going on Howard Stern.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same year because it's not on here.
Tim, if you could scroll up ever so slightly so folks can see the other way. There you go. Howard Stern, right? October 9. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I still didn't see the date. You're trying to tell me the year, and I didn't see it on there, so I was confused. I thought it may be the other one.
Okay. You can trust me on this. If I were misrepresenting the date, this ample collection of lawyers and skilled advocates would be jumping up and down saying, Your Honor, he's got the date wrong. You think?
I think they're kind of maybe waiting for us to figure it out ourselves. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what they're
So are
thinking.
you with me?
I'm trying.
Yeah? You doing your level best?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Fair enough. Now, this is simple. October 9 is, if we subtract 4 from 9, we got 5 days that pass between the time Gawker did its post and you appear on Howard Stern.
Yes, sir.
Right? 5 days. Not 4 or 5 hours. Right?
No, it's days, not hours.
Right. Now, my question to you is, you had 5 days. You knew that tape is out there to be. It's hot news. Everybody's talking about this tape. You knew when you went in to those media appearances that folks were going to be asking you about the sex tape, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You never, you personally, Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, whichever character, you personally did not tell any of those producers on those media programs that you were going to start appearing on the 9th of October and thereafter. So you did say to them personally, listen, I need you to do me a courtesy and not go into all this sex tape stuff. You didn't do that, did you?
It's like I testified before. No, sir, I didn't. That's a job for a publicist, not a talent.
Fair enough. We'll get to that later in the case. But my question is simpler and it is more precise. You personally did not do that, did you?
No, I personally did not do someone else's job and do that.
All right. Now, what we're going to do now, we're still on October 9, 2012. And this is something I know from talking with you in the past in your deposition. There has been some confusion, a little confusion about where this fits in the chronology. But Mr. Bollea, what I want you to focus your attention on is the interview that you did with TMZ on October 9, 2012. You were in New York on your media tour. I saw from your itinerary you were staying at the Parker Meridian Hotel, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you will recall that you did an interview from New York on the phone with TMZ. Remember that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your attorney, Mr. Houston, he too was on the phone, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He wasn't in New York though, was he?
No, he was not.
No. So he's remote, he's on the phone too. The same day that you did the interview with Howard Stern that we've been looking at, you did this TMZ interview. All right? Now, what I'm going to do, just so you have this presently in your mind, I'm going to play a brief introductory clip just so you can kind of focus on it. Tim, please.
So Hulk joins us right now along with his attorney, David Houston. Guys, welcome to TMZ Live.
How are you?
We're good. We're good. You there, all?
Yeah, brother, I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Galea, do you recognize your voice? I realize that was a brief snippet, but do you recognize your voice on that report?
Yeah, when Harvey says, Hulk, are you there? I go, yeah, brother, I'm here. You know, I just answer him. Yeah, I recognize my voice.
Okay. And do you recognize Mr. Houston's voice on that clip?
I wasn't paying attention. Was his voice on there?
Okay. All right, that's fair.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
If he was
what
on there.
we'll do, we'll play a little more.
Okay.
You let me know after
Sure.
you hear some more clips. I don't want to take the time, but let me know when we play a little more if you hear
Okay.
Mr. Houston. Okay. Now, we're going to play a second clip, and I'd like you to focus on this. I think this will bring this present for you, all right?
Sure.
Okay. Tim, if you could please play D270B.
This is the end of the tape. You leave, and Bubba comes back in the room, and Heather's on the bed. And Bubba says, I quote, "If we ever did want to retire, all we'd have to do is use this footage of him." So I just kind of wanted your reaction to that. I know you know that this might be in one of the tapes. I can tell you 100%. That is what Bubba says when you leave the room.
I didn't hear David Houston's voice on there.
No, sir. No, I said there'll be other clips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This, yeah, let me see if I can help you out. This clip we just looked at, that's the fellow in the black T-shirt. That's Mr. Walters again.
Right.
Okay. And he says, right, this is the end of the tape. You leave, and Bubba comes back in the room, and Heather is on the bed. And Bubba says, I quote, "If we ever did want to retire, all we'd have to do is use this footage of him." So I kind of wanted your reaction to that. That's Mike Walters saying. "I know you know that this may be in one of the tapes. I can tell you 100%. That is what Bubba says when you leave the room." Now, you remember learning that on October 9 in that TMZ interview, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was that the first time that you learned that Bubba, who was your bosom buddy, had made that statement about retiring off of this footage of you?
To the best of my recollection, that's the first time I heard it, and that's the first time it was confirmed by Mike Walters, and I think another producer came on the phone and said, "I've seen it too." Because when Harvey said he didn't see it, I said, "Well, then I don't believe you." So there's some of that tape missing there.
Okay. Take a look at another segment. If you could please play D270D.
To that, I know you know that this might be in one of the tapes.
That was pretty quick. Sorry about that. Would you play that again, please? Are you okay? Do you have that?
It's kind of confusing. It's so fast. I wish you'd play it again. I don't really know what you're...
That's fair. Let's do it this way. Mr. Walters says, "I know you know that this might be in one of the tapes." All right?
Yeah, he's telling me.
Yeah, he's telling you that. Now, as of when did you know that that might be in one of the tapes?
He just told me.
He just told you that?
Yes, sir.
No, he said, "I know you know that
Well,
this may be in one of the tapes."
I have no idea why you'd say that.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you find this out before the interview?
Not that I can recall, because when he told me the part about Bubba, doing what Bubba did, it made me go violently. I mean, this was the closest guy to me, you know. When I realized he was on the tape, it got a crazy reaction out of my body. So, to the best of my recollection, that was the first time I heard it about Bubba.
Okay. Let's
Because I
talk
probably
about-
reacted the same way if I would have heard it before.
Okay, so Mr. Walters didn't give you a preview before the interview?
No, sir. We came right from our interview right to the hotel room. We were supposed to have a little break, like I said yesterday, I think. And either David or called the room or Mike Walters called the room and said this is urgent.
All right. And when TMZ said it was urgent, you said, okay, I'll do this, right?
I don't know what I said. I mean, I said it to David. David may have said take a call. I don't recall the exact verbiage.
Well,
I really don't.
I mean, it looked, from us looking at your itinerary, you had a pretty packed schedule for that tour, didn't you?
Yeah, and I could have misspoke also because I'm sure they added stuff on and they might have canceled stuff too. So, I mean, it just,
But
it was busy, yes.
it was busy.
Yes, sir.
And when TMZ called, you said, well, I'll fit them in, right?
I don't know if I said I'll fit them in. I just took the call because
Okay.
David told me to get on the phone.
Made yourself available.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you talked about, you mentioned your reaction to this. You took this pretty hard, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let's play a brief clip. Tim, if you could please play D270C.
That's, if that is true, I'm sick to my stomach right now.
Okay. And that, I take it, that was true, right?
If what is true?
You were sick to your stomach. When you said if that is true, just so you know, this follows the revelation that Bubba made these comments about if we ever wanted to retire.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, when I heard that, it made me sick because then it made me realize he actually was in on this camera that was put up there because they said he was turning it off and said that. So I'd get sick immediately.
Okay. And I believe you've explained previously that you had a very strong reaction. You started shaking violently.
Yes, sir. My attorney had to call me and talk me down. It took him about 5 minutes to calm me down.
Okay. And you thought that you were going to have a heart attack at the time, right?
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I never would expect that from someone I loved and trusted.
Okay. And in fact, you physically almost had a breakdown when you learned that Bubba had betrayed you, right?
Yeah, I had a tough time with the whole situation until I figured out who he really was. And then once I figured out who he really was, it didn't bother me the same because I knew he wasn't my friend and he never was. So I kind of like had to shift gears and realize, you know, man up over this Bubba thing, and it is what it is. Now at least I knew who he was and I rationalized it so it didn't upset me anymore.
I see. But I'm focused back on the time. You know, I've tried to do this chronologically. Back on October 9, when you learned this from TMZ, that Bubba had betrayed you, at that point, that was one of the toughest things you ever had to deal with, wasn't it?
In that moment, with everything that was going on, I was very stressed out. And when I found out that he was the last person left after my personal situation with my family and everything else, when I found out that he was the last person left, thinking he was still my friend, to hear that news, yeah, it hit me pretty hard in that darn moment.
Okay. Now, we're going to return ever so briefly to the program we looked at yesterday. Remember the program Sway in the morning? We looked at some of those clips.
Yeah, we looked at a bunch of stuff, but it seems very familiar.
Okay. Tim, if you could please play D231C. And
I've never had a day in my life like yesterday. I've been in front of the feds, I've been in the hotline, my marriage, lawsuits, you know, I've had people tell me I was never going to walk again after back surgery. I've had a lot of stuff laid on me. And that yesterday, and finding that out was probably the toughest and the most traumatic and just flipped my world upside down more than anything it ever has.
when you made that statement to Sway and his viewers, were you being honest?
Yes, sir, I was. In that moment, it flipped my world upside down.
Okay. You were being truthful there.
On top of everything that was going on, that was the icing on the cake that
All right.
pushed me over the edge that day.
In fact, Bubba's betrayal was indeed one of the worst experiences of your life, wasn't it?
It was one of them, yes, sir.
Okay. And Bubba's betrayal was one of the toughest things you've ever had to deal with, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
It was one of the hardest things you've ever had to deal with, wasn't it?
That was a tough day. I had to really figure out who he was fast to get over that one.
Okay, all right. Now, before we move on from these TMZ discussions about the sex tape, one last quick thing. You never saw TMZ's copy of the video that showed Bubba making that statement, did you? The statement, if we ever wanted to retire, all we'd have to do is use this footage. You never saw that, did you?
No, sir.
That rocked your world, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you never asked TMZ to show you the tape that they had, did you?
No, sir.
All right. Now, at this time, all these events are going on, there's all this focus on this sex tape and all this talk about this. You didn't take the position that you could not talk about the sex tape publicly, did you?
Excuse me? Please
Yes,
repeat
sir.
that.
Just trying to get you to focus. Now we're in the aftermath. The Post has come out. You've been on the New York media tour. Life is moving on. You didn't take the position at that point that, like, well, I can't talk about this sex tape. You didn't say that, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay. Nor did you say, well, look, this is going to be the subject of litigation. I'm going to gather all these attorneys together. I'm going to sue these folks, so I can't talk about this because it's going to go to the courts. You didn't say that, did you?
I don't recall saying that.
Okay. And at the time, I take it then, you weren't concerned that by going out talking about this sex tape and what have you, that you would actually keep the sex tape story in the news, right?
I was concerned. I just didn't have a choice.
No. We talked about that before. You weren't concerned that talking about it would keep it in the news, were you?
Well, I was concerned, but it was okay to talk about it. It was okay to talk about it. We were just getting barraged with the media, and we were trying to make it go away. But the problem was, when we tried to get Gawker to take it down, they wouldn't take it down, and it just kept fueling this fire that just wouldn't stop. It was overwhelming.
Okay, I see. Now, at the time, the media would ask you, is it true that you were knowledgeable that this was being filmed, right? They'd ask you stuff.
Yes, they have asked me that.
And they'd say, the media would say, is it true that this is all just a publicity stunt so that you can make millions and millions of dollars off of this sex tape, right? They asked you these kinds of things.
Yeah, they asked me.
Right. And would it be fair to say that you, for your part, were concerned that a lot of people thought you were just doing this to make a bunch of money?
I was concerned because there were people that thought I might have something to do with this. We even had calls from Vivid Entertainment, who does all these pornographic films, and said there's an open checkbook, we'll pay you as much money as you want. And if I was in this thing to make money, there were all these offers out there, and I was concerned that, the Vivid guy calls, and he even thought we were in it for the entertainment part. We said, no, brother, we don't want to make money on this. We don't want this happening. And I was very concerned that people thought I did it, on purpose to set cameras up. I would never do that to my personal life.
Right. And one of your concerns, when you told people that you had nothing to do with this, one of your concerns, wasn't it, that people would say, oh boy, here we go, this is just another wrestling angle where Hulk Hogan is trying to con us, looking to make millions of dollars or a bunch of money off of this sex tape. That was one of your concerns, wasn't it?
I was concerned that they thought it may be entertainment and it's just Hulk Hogan, trying to make money, but that wasn't it.
Okay.
It wasn't about Hulk Hogan making a sex tape. That's not what happened.
All right.
It's never been about that. I've never had a problem with the words that are said, because you got to take the good with the bad. You get hit with it, and I never have had a problem with the article. My problem is this whole the videotape that you guys put out that lives forever. It'll be there forever on the internet. That's the problem.
So it's the video.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a video excerpt. A brief.
No, it's whatever
shows
Gawker
the
did to put up whatever they put up. I don't even know.
And you tell us that you never had a problem with the article that Mr. Delorio authored?
Well, I wasn't happy about it.
No, but let me ask you this. You sued Mr. Denton, you sued Mr. Delorio, and Gawker. And so you sued him in your initial complaint, and you included the article, right?
There's objection. Can we get assured that he's not suing that kind of disclosure?
My question is a bit more precise. When the suit was filed, it included that.
I sustain the objection. Thank you.
All right. Now, let us return to something you told all of us yesterday. You explained that when this happened, when all this went down, you were at an all-time low, right?
When what went down?
The sexual encounter with Heather.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if we could look, please, at, I think the clip is, Tim, it's D231D. We could look at that.
And that's so what?
Yeah.
Nobody cares about what was me, because everybody's got one. They care about what now. Okay, and so here's where we're at, bro.
Well, you know what I want to do? I want to come back.
No, I gotta tell you, right?
Oh, no,
You said this
you
was
know
my
what?
show. You said this was my show.
You're right.
Did you say that?
We're not going to play any songs.
Did you say that?
This is your show. I'm Hogan.
Let me at least finish this thought.
No, man, I'm giving you all.
Thank you. And so anyway, so where we're at now is, at the end of the day, I did this. I wasn't on drugs. I made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But the what was me story is on a personal level, dude, my life was already screwed with my situation. I was at an all-time low. These two people that I pray to God are friends of mine, for 2 years they were going, hey, I want to get with you, I want to do this. And then my boys went, yeah, that's cool, what's the score? I was like, no, man.
You talking about the threesome? Or,
No, him offering his wife. Yeah.
And that was weird the first time he offered you his
Well, I knew they partied. I knew they partied, and I've heard stories, and his wife was gorgeous, and she kept saying, I want to get with you, I want to do this and that and the other stuff, and I want to have sex with you. And I said, no. So at the end of the day, I kind of bottomed out, I was with my boy, we went back to the house, and when I was at my all-time low, I just said, to hell, let's do this thing.
Okay. Now, that is you on Sway's program explaining to his listeners that when this happened, you were at an all-time low, right?
I was, yes, sir.
Okay. Were you telling the truth to Sway and his listeners when you gave that account?
I don't remember the verbiage of let's do this thing or the Hulk Hogan edge I put on it, but, I was acknowledging what we were talking about, so I don't know if that was the exact verbatim truth. I know I didn't say, hey, let's go at it or whatever I just said. That was on the show.
But the substance, I'm not going to hold you to the verbiage.
Okay, I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Precise language. But the point you are conveying to Sway's viewers and
Yes, sir.
Sway is that when this happened, I was at an all-time low. I'd hit rock bottom. Is that true?
Yeah, my personal life and everything was not well at all. I was pretty much bottomed out when I didn't think I could get back together with my wife, and she was filing for divorce.
So I take it the answer to my question is yes, sir, that's
Yes, sir.
true.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you also told a story. I don't mean a story like you made up, but let me do it this way. You also provided an account to the viewers that said, basically, you described how Heather was so persistent, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in pursuing you, right?
Yeah, when I talked to her on the phone, that was the only thing she ever would say to me, whether it was once a month or once a week or whenever Bubba would put her on the phone. That was what she said to me.
Okay.
There was no how are you or how's the weather. It was that.
All right. So she is persistent. Would it be fair to say that she was relentless in this?
I'd say persistence, a much better word.
All right. All right. Now, so when you slept with Heather, you're at an all-time low. This is one of the worst periods in your life, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's why you finally gave in to her persistent pressure, correct?
Yes, sir, you could say that.
Wasn't the kind of thing you would normally do, right?
No, sir, never.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Was that true each time you had sexual relations with Heather?
I had a tough period there. I had a real rough period there. Where I didn't think I was going to pull the nose up on it. So I would say when I was in that time of my life, during that period, I was in an all-time low. And that would include those times I had sex with Heather.
I see. Now, you had sex, I think, it was, by your count, 4 times, right?
3 or 4, as I said.
3 or 4, okay. And what you're telling us is you were at an all-time low each time?
I was pretty much bottomed out during that period, yes, sir.
Okay. And you were giving in to Heather's persistent pressure each time, right?
I wasn't, after the first time, it wasn't like persistent pressure. It was just, I was in that situation and my guard was down. I just don't remember persistent pressure. They kind of like broke the ice with me, so the ice was broken. It just, nothing was said like persistently like it had been in the past for years and years.
Right. Okay. So you told us your guard was down.
Yes, sir.
How long did you go before you were able to get your guard back up? How long did that go?
Well, as far as getting my guard back up, after the last time I had sex with Heather, I would say it was a couple months before I came out of that low, but then trying to get my guard up, I just had never been able to get my step back or feel like myself because, even trying to get my guard back up, it's just been this overriding haunting of this sex tape that Gawker put out there. So instead of having my guard up when I'd look at somebody and meet somebody or go out in public or if I was signing someone's kid's autograph, instead of being up with my guard up, I still felt like I was turned inside over this thing. I just haven't felt like myself. So it changed me from, I never got my guard back up like you said. When did you get your guard back up? I never have. This is still tearing me up, that this whole, I never recovered from my guard up. From when I bottomed out before my marriage, through the having the sex with Heather, through this crazy sex tape being released by Gawker, that I didn't know about. I haven't been able to get back up and be who I was before.
So your guard has been down
No,
since the summer of 2007?
I would say yes, sir. I'm not the same person I was before all this craziness happened.
Okay. So you've been at an all-time low ever since then?
I didn't say that. I said I didn't get my guard up. I'm trying to say what you're talking about. You asked me, when did I get my guard back up? My guard is not up like Hulk Hogan's guard is usually up. I'm not that same, I don't have the same guard up.
Do you fear that other women are going to come on to you and your guard, since your guard's down, you'll succumb to their wiles?
There is no fear of that at all.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, what we're going to do is, continuing with our chronology, we're now going to move forward in time yet again, and we are going to direct, or I'll ask you to please direct your attention to a press conference that was held on the courthouse steps, all right? Now, when you decided to initiate suit, right, you decided to sue, which brings us all here together, right? You and your counsel held a press conference right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let's just take a very brief look. Tim, if you have a clip, I think is it D269D?
Hulk Hogan will take all reasonable steps necessary to ensure that all persons and entities who were involved in this are punished to the fullest extent of the law.
All right. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In that clip, you see one of your attorneys who's at the microphone, and you see yourself over his shoulder.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
I'm now going to turn this over to Attorney David Houston, who has some additional remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Houston, and thank you for being here.
Okay. And you recognize your attorney, David Houston, I think?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, was it your idea to hold a press conference?
Oh, I don't recall whose idea it was.
Okay. Weren't you concerned that by calling a press conference and issuing a press release, that you would only draw more attention to the Gawker story?
No, sir.
That wasn't a concern of yours?
No, my concern was if we didn't do something about this, this would ramp up even more. And since Gawker said they wouldn't take the video down, everybody else would put the video down that it was fed to or they latched onto, and it would never stop. The bleeding would never stop. I had to do something to try to stop Gawker from what they were doing to me.
All right.
That was my concern.
Okay, so you really weren't worried that this would just increase the attention. That wasn't your concern.
I don't know how you could increase the attention more than Gawker did.
All right. Let me ask you this.
That's just my opinion, but they did a pretty good job of getting it out everywhere.
Okay. Let me ask you this. When asked about your reaction to the press conference, you testified that there weren't a lot of reporters there compared to the O.J. trial. Do you remember that testimony?
Don't recall that, but it's possible I could have said it.
Okay. Would you like to see it?
No, if you want to show it to everybody, it's fine, but I just, if I said it, I said it.
Okay. Now, when you said there weren't a lot of reporters there compared to the O.J. trial, did you expect that your press conference would draw that level of attention?
I did not know what to expect.
Okay. All right. Now, let's shift our focus once again and talk briefly about the privacy of Hulk Hogan. At your deposition, you were asked if you were concerned about the privacy of Hulk Hogan, right?
Could I see the deposition, please?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's take a look. Do you have your volume 4, page 600?
Page 600?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you could look with me and see the question starting at 6, line 6. Do you see that?
Page 600, line 6?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, sorry. Look at line 6. You're asked this question. Question. Are you concerned about the privacy of Hulk Hogan? Answer. Hulk Hogan is a fictional character, or is a character, wrestling character. And the privacy of Hulk Hogan is something that is part of the character. So it's not a major concern when it comes to Hulk Hogan's privacy, brother. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that kind of what you were explaining to us earlier?
Maybe I could help you help me a little bit.
Yeah.
What was I explaining earlier?
Yeah, I take it when you were kind of telling us, well, there's Terry Bollea, there's Hulk Hogan, Mr. Bollea is different than Mr. Hogan, all that, right? Are you concerned about Hulk Hogan's privacy?
I'm concerned, but it's pretty much take the good with the bad. You realize that when you're a character, they're going to invade, what if there was privacy, if Hulk Hogan had any privacy, you kind of give that up when you walk out the front door as a character. I'd love to have privacy in my car on a cell phone or something as Hulk Hogan, but, people take pictures and stuff like that. I walk out in public, and so I went to a Rays game, and I went to the bathroom, and everybody's calling me Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan. Next thing I know, I turn around, I'm standing at the urinal, and somebody's taking a picture of me. So I'm concerned about Hulk Hogan's privacy, but you kind of give it away, so it is a concern, but it really doesn't matter anyway, because once you walk out the front door as Hulk Hogan, your anonymity is given up, and there's really no privacy anymore when you work in the public, so that's what I meant by it.
Okay, so you tell us.
If Hulk Hogan's going to the bathroom, it really should be a private moment, but there are people that have taken advantage of it by taking pictures of me going to the bathroom or after a wrestling match in a shower. I've had people sneak a picture of me when I'm Hulk Hogan in the shower. So this is the cost of doing business, like I was trying to explain. You give it up, but in the privacy of your own home, I'm not Hulk Hogan, so I don't have to worry about that. The privacy of my own home, I'm Terry Bollea, and nobody invades my privacy at my own home or in a private setting where I'm with my friends. So, no, I understand that as Hulk Hogan character, it's a concern, but I do give it up. I understand that.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. I believe you explained in your deposition that when fans, for example, fans come up to you, they ask you a question about your personal life. You answer the question as the character Hulk Hogan, right?
Oh, I try to. That's what they expect. They want to talk to Hulk Hogan, brother, when the fans are asking questions.
Right. And if the fans ask a question about Terry Bollea's personal life, you answer in the character Hulk Hogan, right?
Fans don't usually ask about Terry Bollea. They say, hey, Hulk, how's your daughter Brooke? And I go, oh, she's awesome, brother. They don't say, hey, Terry Bollea, how's your daughter Brooke? They don't ask in that context. Like I said, when I leave my house, everybody thinks I'm Hulk Hogan. I can't remember a situation where someone's come up and said, hey, Terry Bollea, I heard your wife got in a jet ski accident. Hey, Terry Bollea, how's your wife? It's always Hulk Hogan. So it doesn't happen that way.
You then could look at page 550, page 542.
542,
yes.
Under volume 3?
Volume 4.
Volume 4. 543.
542.
542?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this continues on to 543. Question. When you say that you were...
I'm sorry, brother. You need to tell me what line you're starting
20,
on.
line 20, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. You see it says question. All right. And when you say that you were, this statement here is true for Hulk Hogan, but you're talking about your personal life. Is that Hulk Hogan's personal life or Terry Bollea's personal life? Answer. It's the character answering a question. And if they ask a question about Hulk Hogan's personal life, I will answer in character as Hulk Hogan. If they ask a question about Terry Bollea's personal life, I will answer as the character Hulk Hogan. I never, in these things, go down to Terry Bollea. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that true, that when they ask you about Terry Bollea's life, you answer in character as Hulk Hogan? It's true, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That's what I've been trying to explain to you.
Right. And is it also true that you never go down to Terry Bollea?
Not once I leave the house. Not once I leave the house and I'm Hulk Hogan. it's expected, you know, of me to always answer like Hulk Hogan, such as when I'm outside, the mailman goes, "Hey, Hulk," and I say, "Hey, how you doing, brother?" They don't, the mailman doesn't say, "Hey, Terry Belay, how you doing?" So they're expecting me to answer as Hulk Hogan, even if they did ask me a question about my personal life.
Right. So whatever questions fans ask, you're going to answer as Hulk Hogan, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk a bit. You talked to us yesterday about emotional distress that you experienced. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you did not seek any medical treatment in connection with the emotional distress you experienced, did you?
No, sir.
You didn't see a doctor in connection with your emotional distress, did you?
No, sir.
You didn't seek psychological counseling in connection with your emotional distress, correct?
No, sir.
Never went to a psychiatrist in connection with your emotional distress, correct?
No, sir.
All right. Now, you also talked to us yesterday about professional wrestling. And you recall that testimony?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you explained to us that wrestling isn't fake. It's not fake, right? It's predetermined.
That's a better way to describe it if you're just throwing a general analysis out of it.
Right. And I think you explained to us that folks in the wrestling community were kind of offended if you talk about it being fake, right? Or at least there was a time back in the day when they were.
Yes, that second statement of yours is correct.
Okay. Now, when we say it's predetermined, that means that the outcome of the match, the people involved know going in who's going to win, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I read somewhere where you've only been in one bout in your career where the outcome was not predetermined, right?
I don't know if that's correct. I don't know where you would have read it. You said you read it somewhere. I need more detail. You need to help me more.
Let me ask you this. Your bout, the one you had with Andre the Giant.
Yes, sir.
That one you didn't know who was going to win, did you?
That's one instance that's true, yes, sir.
Okay.
He was in a very bad mood, and we just did not know if he was going to let me win or not, because I could have never beaten him if he didn't let me. They said 520 pounds, but he was closer to the 700-pound mark that night. So if he did not want me to win, I could not have won. And I kept asking Vince McMahon, "What are we doing? Is it thumbs up or thumbs down?" And Vince didn't have an answer, so I actually went to the ring not knowing if the Giant was going to be kind enough to let me win.
All right.
It's very nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking?
Very nerve-wracking, yes, sir. I knew he wasn't very happy.
Okay. Let me ask you this. One last thing before we move on to another subject. This business about professional wrestling. Let's talk about the wrestling term. I believe it's referred to as a work. W-O-R-K.
Yes, sir.
Work. You're familiar with that term?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And I take it a work is when both wrestlers are in the ring and they've decided they're going to work together. They're going to get physical, right? They're going to get as physical as they can without injuring each other, but they're working together, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's like dancing with someone.
There you go. It's like dancing. And like with dancing, you have someone who wants to dance with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when this, like dancing, when a work is done well, it flows quite smoothly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But yeah, if someone's working together well, the match seems to be better and everything's more fluent, and it looks really, really real. If two guys are good workers,
right,
two dancers that are really good, you can tell who knows what they're doing in there.
Okay. So if you have two really good wrestlers, really good working together, it all looks very real, doesn't it?
That would be the hope, yes.
That would be the goal.
That would be the goal, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, can the term work be used outside the ring, outside the wrestling world?
You can use it for whatever you want. You could use it right now, but however you want to use it. That you're working together with the attorneys. You guys are dancing together.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Balea, at this point in time, you consider yourself to be a celebrity, correct?
Yes, sir, I do. After all these years, I think I'm established and a lot of people know me, and I think because of that, they would say he's well known enough to be a celebrity by this point. Yes, sir.
Okay. And Hulk Hogan is a household word, correct?
In my opinion, I think it is.
And I think as you explained in your deposition, you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You started doing talk shows and attained celebrity status by the mid-1990s, correct?
That was my opinion, yes, sir. I thought it took that long for me to get to that point.
Okay. And I take it you still consider yourself a celebrity today?
Yes, sir. I just told you I did.
Okay. Now, we're going to turn to the discussion we had yesterday about reality TV. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I believe your reality show, Hogan Knows Best, aired in the mid-2000s. You have a hard time.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. All right. I think it was 2005 to 2007, somewhere in there. Does that sound?
I believe you, yes, for the sake of this. I don't know exactly, but if that's what you have, I believe it.
Okay. Now, your daughter was on the show, right?
Yes, sir.
Your daughter, Brooke.
Yes, sir.
How old was she at the time?
Whew. Best of my recollection, she was a teenager, maybe 17, maybe? I'm guessing. I really don't know. I'm not good with dates and times and stuff like that, but she was younger.
Okay. And your son, Nick, was on the show as well, right?
Yes, sir. He would be 2 years younger than Brooke.
Okay. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to show a brief clip just to give you the introduction to the show. You can take a look at that. Did you have that? All right.
Yo, Linda, did you call the kids?
Nick, Mom, we're on your
Okay. In that introductory portion we looked at, I take it you recognized yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
You saw your wife at the time, Linda.
Yes, sir.
Your daughter, Brooke.
Yes, sir.
And your son, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a clip, and Tim, if you have that, Your Honor, this is D-254B.
My name is Norma Ross.
Hi, Norma. How are you?
Hi.
Good to see you.
Hi. So, what brings you here today?
The last 6 months have just been like really bad fights. There's just stuff erupting every day.
Between her and I, there is just all this unhappiness. It's kind of like, wow. And it's just hard for me to understand how we get to this point.
Okay.
Part of our argument is, we both have different levels of physicalities. And, as far as the sex drive goes, I'm very attracted to her. When I approach her, it's hard to get a positive reinforced response from her. It just never happens.
I'm just never in the mood anymore. It should just be something that's a little bit more eased into it or something.
I don't know how to ease into it any other way.
I just need like my 5 minutes to read a magazine or something else besides going straight.
Yeah. You remember the show and the discussions
Yes,
with
sir.
the marriage counselor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you, when you were doing this show, did you consider that was something that was appropriate for the public to see?
Yes, sir. We were, it's like the clip you showed where it's Hogan knows best, Hulk Hogan, Linda Hogan, Nick and Brooke Hogan. It wasn't Terry Bollea knows best, and it wasn't Linda Bollea, Terry Bollea, or Nick Bollea. So I think we discussed yesterday everything was scripted and set up, and they had storylines, and this was one of those storylines that they wanted to go down.
Okay. Let me ask you this. When you did that particular episode, and you showed sitting down with the marriage counselor, did it concern you at all that the public might then become more interested in the state of your marriage?
I was hoping they'd become more interested in the show. That's why we were doing it.
Did it concern you at the time that the public, when you discuss these kind of matters, that the public might become more interested in how your relationship with your wife was going?
Not that they would become more interested, no. Okay. I mean, on the show, there was actually the final season on the show, a lot of people said it looks like you're not getting along with your wife on camera. You know, and I didn't really read into that. That was so normal for me to be at odds with her on camera, off camera, that it just read on camera that, you know, Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan aren't getting along. So sometimes art imitates life, and to be in that situation where, whether it's the dog massager or the beach or the psychiatrist or the marriage counselor, you know it's Hogan knows best. And I think if we'd have been in there as Terry and Linda Bollea, we might have really got into some serious private details. And if it was a private marriage counselor to really save our marriage, I think it would have been a lot different than what we saw just there.
Right. Now, so I take it what you're telling me really wasn't a concern of mine, right?
What are you asking me now?
This showing going on the show and showing the marriage counseling and all that, you really weren't concerned?
No, sir, I was not. We had so much stuff so far out there with the show that was just another beat. They'll forget that episode, and the next episode they'll watch. So it was just storylines and beats. So I didn't go, oh my gosh, we're going to do some character-driven piece that the producers want us to do. It's going to make things worse or make people look at my marriage more. I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of, let's do the show and get a good scene in here. And
do the show, get a good scene?
Yeah. That's what you're doing. You're a pro. You're on camera.
Sure.
And they usually tell you exactly what they want out of the scene. So we wanted that drama and tension, I'm sure.
All right. If we could look, please, at clip D254C, Your Honor.
Yes.
Today's my wife's day. I hope you're ready.
I'm sitting down here, I'm ready.
Probably need to come upstairs here to come to the car.
I'll be up in a few minutes.
I love you, bud.
Yeah.
She's in for a surprise.
Now, you saw that clip?
Yeah, I just saw it, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you consider that to be invasive of your privacy?
No, sir. Once again, here we are filming a TV show, and whether it's in the wrestling ring and somebody pulls my trunks down or I pull Ric Flair's trunks down, there's certain artistic liberties when you're in a character, and if the producers are asking you to shoot a scene, it's pretty acceptable when you're filming a TV show.
So you weren't embarrassed there being depicted on national TV, sitting on the commode with your trousers around your ankles, right? You weren't embarrassed?
I'm not going to say I wasn't embarrassed. It's just, it is humbling to be seen like that, but it's part of the show, so it's part of the deal, the good with the bad of being an entertainer.
I see. And I take it that you were comfortable having that depicted on your reality TV show, that you thought this was something that was appropriate for the public to see, correct?
Well, for TV 14, the ratings say that the rating system has said that this is acceptable programming for that time slot. Yes, sir.
And my question is, you thought it was appropriate for the public to see, right?
I never thought about it that way. I just thought it was okay that, they were just going to get a side shot of the cheek of my rear end on the toilet and it'd be funny. And the sound effects, they put a farting sound effect in there, and it was tongue-in-cheek. You have to take it for what it's worth when you're being entertained.
It was humorous
Yes, sir.
Take it. You thought it was humorous.
It looks kind of funny when they put the sound effects in, yes.
Okay. And I take it you... All right. I'll strike that. Just to wrap up on the reality TV business, after your show, Hogan Knows Best, went off the air, VH1 came out with a new series, Brooke Knows Best.
Yes, sir.
Right? And your daughter was the star of that show.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You appeared on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, see if we can wrap up here. Mr. Balea, I'd like you to direct your attention to Defendants Exhibit 68. And did you see that there?
Yes, sir, I do.
And that is your book, My Life Outside the Ring, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this book, Hulk Hogan, My Life Outside the Ring, was co-authored. You co-authored this with Mark D'Agostino, correct?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by co-authored, but I told the story to Mark D'Agostino, and he wrote the story.
Okay.
So I don't know if I've got a credit as a co-author. I'm not sure. I've never seen it, or if I saw it, I don't remember it. But I told him the story about Hulk Hogan, My Life Outside the Ring. I told him the story, and he wrote the story.
All right.
He was the author, but that's what I'm trying to say.
This is your second book.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Now, you wrote this book because your life was moving forward, and you thought there was interesting stuff going on, right?
For several reasons. My life was moving forward. I got a chance to explain what was going on in Hulk Hogan's life, and had an opportunity to make, some money off a book because there were interesting things going in my life. So there was an upside that if the book was popular and sold, it would help bring in revenue.
All right. And you did think there were interesting things that you chose to share with the public in this book, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I take it when you wrote the book, you hoped that folks, readers, and what have you, would find this to be an interesting book, and they'd buy it, right?
I was hoping that the way the book was written, that it would be compelling and interesting, exciting and entertaining, and they'd be interested in it.
Okay. Now, one of the things you chose to include in your book was an account of the affair you had with Christian Plant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If we could look, please, at page 185 and 186 of your book.
Oh.
And you'll see the text will appear there. Okay. You see where it says, one of those handlers the record company brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're referring to handlers for your daughter, Brooke.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So one of those handlers the record company brought in for Brooke was a woman named Christian Plant. Christian...
Yes, I said yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Christian was so great with Brooke. She did everything she could to look after her, and I love seeing someone take care of my daughter that way. She was just so positive and caring. She was 34, but she and Brooke became really close, almost like best friends in a way. Did you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we continue on, you see the passage starting, next thing I know, this is the last paragraph on 187. If you could direct your attention there, and if you could look at that. Next thing I knew, the two of us started kissing. Not to sound perverted or anything, but it was fantastic. Here I am in my mid-50s, here I am in my 50s now, and this was a really attractive 34-year-old woman with dark hair and a curvaceous body. And just to have some affection, genuine caring, mixed in with that physical attraction, it felt good. It was such an emotional and physical release. We didn't have sex that night, but it opened the door. Over the course of the next 2 months, we did have sex, maybe 5 different times. That was it. You see that?
Yes, sir, I do see that.
Now, I take it you felt comfortable at the time you did your book sharing that with the public, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I take it this is kind of part of the interesting stuff that you hope, interesting stuff going on in your life that you hope folks would find worth reading about, right?
It's part of the stuff going on in my life, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as events were to unfold, it looks like you were right about that. As you report in your book, if we could look please at page 253, 3 paragraphs up from the bottom. You'll see a passage there, so on February 28. Okay, if you would read starting there, please. So on February 28, my affair with Christian Plant became national news. I don't think there's a blog or entertainment show in America that didn't run with the story of Hulk Hogan cheating on his wife. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, and that was true, wasn't it?
What was true?
The whole thing about the business with the affair with Christian Plant, that became big news, didn't it?
That was true, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Widely reported, right?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Widely reported.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, before we move on from this book, there are other deeply personal things in your book, aren't there?
I'm definitely sure there are.
Okay. And you were comfortable sharing those with the public, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then lastly, if we could ask you to direct your attention to Defendants Exhibit 70. Defendants Exhibit 70. We could pull up the cover of that book. Now, you remember that book?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this one you co-authored with Michael Jan Friedman, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this was your first book?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you reviewed it before it was published, I take it?
Yeah, I told the story to whoever that writer was you just said. And then there was an extra step after that I was working for the WWE at the time, and then they had their people go through it and change stuff too. So since this book was different than the other one, this one was released through WWE, so told the story, the writer wrote my story, whatever parts he wanted to write of the story, and then WWE changed it and did what they wanted to it. So there was an extra process with this book.
Okay. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift our focus one last time, and we're going to talk about a different subject. What we're going to do is we're going to look briefly at an excerpt from an appearance you did on October 20th, 2006 on Bubba's show. So if you could focus on that period in time. We'll look at clip D242C.
Stand by. Hello? Hello? Hootie.
What are you doing?
We're just doing a brain intervention right now.
Who's brain intervention?
Hootie, I think Hootie's in the same condition you were last Friday. Level of Hootie.
Hootie. What?
What are you running right now? What are you running deep right now?
Oh, I can't tell you.
All right. Mr. Blay, do you recognize your voice on that program?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And do you recognize Bubba the Love Sponge's voice on that program?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I take it this is one of those occasions you told us about where you appeared by telephone? Or can you tell?
It sounds like it, but I mean, yeah, it sounds like it. I really don't know if I was sitting there on the phone or acting like I was on the phone. It could have been all the above.
Okay. He refers, I believe, he refers to you as Hootie, right?
Yes, sir.
And was that one of his nicknames for you?
Yeah, when he was teasing me, that was the name of his dog. He called me Hootie just to rile me up, or I'd say it to him to rile him up.
Okay. If, Tim, if you could play the next clip, which is D242A.
All right, how about people have emailed, how big is your penis?
Man, you got the bread.
You guys are bread. You guys are bread. I mean, is it over?
You tell all your fans right now, Keeper #1 Gawker record release is sold Tuesday all through the week. I'll say exactly how big that block this month is.
How big your cock is? Yeah.
So that's the fans' motivation.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Jimmy, we gotta keep voting and we gotta go buy this record.
That's the part. I'm going to talk smack to your cult following.
Hogan, I've talked so much smack to them. Look what I've done.
Well, you want to know how big the Loch Ness Monster is? You better talk to me.
I've seen it before. I know how big it is.
Shoot, everybody sees one saying it too.
Yeah, exactly.
They call me King Triton.
Exactly. I would say hard, you're probably 7.5 or 8 inches.
Shit.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, I didn't...
Dude, I got size 15. I wear a size 15 ring. A wedding ring. Figure it out.
Well, you ain't got a 15-inch cock, Hogan.
No, 2/3 the size of your feet and your hands, jack off.
Well, what's 66% of 15, Brent?
10.
What the fuck? What's 5 times 3?
So you're saying, Ned said that you're right at 10.
Ned should know how to hit that.
It felt like 10.
So Hogan, you're claiming to maybe have a 10-inch cock.
I'm not claiming those are facts, Jack.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Having listened to that, I take it that is you telling Bubba's radio audience that if they will keep your daughter Brooke, if they will keep Brooke's record at #1, you would tell them exactly how big your penis is, right?
I didn't hear that part. I heard a lot of stuff, but some of it I couldn't really hear.
You didn't hear that?
No, I was trying to understand the words, but it sounds like it's echoey.
Okay. Would you like to hear it again?
Sure, but you got to tell me, because I can't understand what's being said. Tell me where it said at, so I can really listen for it.
All right. Your Honor, should we play it again?
Could someone just tell me what was said? Or do you have it transcribed?
We don't have a transcript here. Let me ask you this. Do you have a recollection of going on Bubba's show about the time that your daughter's record was released? Do you have a recollection of working to help promote Brooke's record?
Yes, sir. I sure do.
And do you have a recollection of working to do that with the assistance of Bubba the Love Sponge Clem?
Yes, sir, I do.
We touched on that yesterday, didn't we?
Yes,
About
sir.
how
Pretty sure.
Bubba would help you out on
Yes, sir.
things, and I asked you, in fact, he'd help you out with Brooks,
Yes, sir.
promoting Brooks' career. Okay. Now, did you hear the portion of the discussion about the length of your penis? Did you
Yes,
hear
sir,
that
I did.
part?
I heard a lot in the front where he said Hootie, this and that and the other. I heard myself say Briz, which is a wrestling term because I was Hulk Hogan. Briz means Brizoodle. When they were talking, I said, oh, that's Brizoodle. And then I did hear size 15-inch shoe, 15 ring. I heard 2/3. I heard 9 or 10 inches. I heard a lot of stuff. I just didn't hear that other part. It was inaudible for me.
Okay. Did you hear the discussion about the length of your penis? Did you hear
Yeah,
that?
I heard a lot of it. I don't know if I heard the whole thing because I couldn't understand everything, but I did hear numbers talked. I heard 2/3, and I compared it to hands and feet and figured it out. I heard that part.
Let me ask you this, just let's see if we can simplify this. Do you have any doubt as you sit in that witness stand today that you were discussing the length of your penis on Bubba's radio program? Any doubt?
Well, it's not mine because mine isn't that size, but we were discussing the length of Hulk Hogan's.
Seriously? So you
No,
were
seriously,
discussing-
I do not have a 10-inch penis. No, I do not.
Okay,
Seriously.
fair enough. So what you're telling us is you were discussing
Believe that,
Hulk Hogan's
seriously.
penis, right?
Excuse me?
You were discussing Hulk Hogan's penis.
Yeah, because Terry Bolle's penis is not 10 inches like you're trying to say.
All right. Now, I take it when that discussion was being had over the radio in this community, you didn't think that that was invasive of your privacy, right?
My privacy?
Yes.
Terry Bollea?
Or Hulk Hogan?
We've talked about Hulk Hogan several times. I need to make you understand this, that Hulk Hogan gave up his privacy the moment he walked out his front door, became a celebrity in anonymity.
All right.
And so I don't like talking about Hulk Hogan's penis, but I've already tried to explain to you, I gave up my right as Hulk Hogan to have Hulk Hogan have any privacy.
Okay.
I don't know how much clearer I can make that to you.
All right.
I'll do whatever I can to help you, but I just don't know whatever else to say to make you understand that.
Fair enough. So you're doing the best you can, right?
To help you, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, shortly after you appeared on Bubba's show, doing this bit about the length of the penis, right? If we move forward in time again, let's look at an appearance you did on Howard Stern, all right? You appeared on Howard Stern in the fall of 2006. Your reality TV show was on at that time. And again, this is focused around the time where your daughter Brooke released her album, released her music.
Do you know which album that would be?
2006.
Okay,
Which one
'cause
did she release?
She released 3 or 4 albums.
Pardon?
She released 3 or 4 albums during that time. So
In 2006?
yeah, there was one right before that she already had done, that she had done on her own, and then that wasn't really released right until the first one was Cecil Barker and Sobe Records. So there was a couple back-to-back during that time period.
Well, let's see if this helps you out. If you could play the introductory clip from Defendants Exhibit 299, and this may help you as well, Mr. Bollea, your appearance when you went on Howard Stern was on October 23rd of 2006, and you appeared with members of your family. So let's take a look at that.
This is different. This is a different subject.
Nice outfit.
400 or 500,000.
Is that your performance? Nice outfit, baby. Wow, that's an outfit. You know how to dress. You allowed her to wear that? You got the girl and everything. Hey,
Nick, you know how to dress too.
how you doing, brother?
What's up, Hulk? Hey, how you doing, guys?
Linda, you look good.
All right. So that is October 23rd, 2006.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you recognize yourself on that video clip of Howard Stern's show?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And do you recognize your wife at the time, Linda?
Yes, sir, I do.
Recognize your daughter, Brooke, I take it?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And lastly, your son, Nick. You
Yes, sir.
recognize him as well. All right. Now, if we could look at the next clip, which is D299B.
You know, like,
Is that as far as you've gone with guys? Is kissing? God, leave. No, you can hear this. Come on.
okay, I haven't had sex.
Right.
I'm not gonna like tell you guys, oh, all I've done is kiss guys. Like I've made out with guys and stuff, but it's like
So they thought
it's
you
not
were.
Howard,
Wow. That's new for you guys.
Good sledding.
All right, so you're saying third base is as far as you've gone?
Well, like second or third in between.
Wow.
Hasn't been like.
How did that happen? Like, under your father's watch party? Like, where did you get to third base? Like, where were you?
I had a boyfriend and stuff like.
Good God. Yeah, but how did she get to third base under the watchful eye of Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, do you have that on video?
Yeah, you saw that clip, you saw that discussion again on Howard Stern.
Yes, sir.
Did you consider that to be invasive of Brooke's privacy, your daughter Brooke?
As her on the show doing a publicity tour, my family knowing that we're going on there as the Hogan family, it's almost like Hulk Hogan giving up his privacy. For me, it's hard to watch with my children because it's invasive, because Howard Stern was trying to go to Brooke Balea and find out personally, and so Brooke, to me, looked embarrassed, even as Brooke Hogan, because she hasn't been around the media as long as I have with getting embarrassed. I've had more experience getting embarrassed with tough questions and funny things. And so it did look like she was embarrassed, and there was just a little bit of a conflict with me because I kind of know personally what was going on as compared to what she was saying, a relationship with boys. I have a little different opinion about.
All right. So I take it, excuse me, I take it that you thought, sitting there, that that was something that was appropriate for public discussion, right?
Well, we understood we were going on Howard Stern as the Hogan family, and we knew he was going to talk about sex and stuff, so that's part of the deal. You have to say that's part of the public consumption that comes along with doing the media tour, so it was okay to do as the Hogan family.
Right. And what you're telling us is, in that context, it was okay for public discussion. You were comfortable with that, right?
For Brooke to talk about her experience as Brooke Hogan and for her to get to a really tough interview with a really tough interviewer, she did the best she could. It's tough for me to watch my kid trying to protect herself as Brooke Hogan when Howard's firing away trying to get to real personal issues.
All right. If we could look at the next clip, and if you could please play D299E.
Hey, that is an awesome outfit.
Now, is she performing on TRL as well? Or
Yes, tomorrow. And that is a mini skirt and a little, what is that? How do you describe that outfit?
It's like a vest, yeah, with a bra under it.
Do you get nervous performing? You've been doing this so much.
My heart's actually beating a little bit. Because I'm performing in front of Howard Stern right now.
Let me tell you something. Future husband. That's right.
I'm performing in front of the president.
I would love to take your virginity.
Oh.
Wow. I would. I mean, I've never had a virgin. I've never been with a virgin.
Wow.
She's the right height.
Mr. Balea, did you consider that to be something appropriate for public discussion?
It's part of the Howard Stern show, so yes, it goes along with the territory.
Okay. And what did you mean when you said, referring to your daughter, Howard said he'd like to take her virginity, and you said, referring to Brooke, that she is the right height?